Hey sister, I just got off an incredibly electric Rooted Radio live broadcast. Now, periodically, a few times a month, I go live inside of my Rooted membership to talk to my members about what's going on with them, give them some content and ideas and structure for how they can start to transform into becoming a more sovereign, satisfied woman. And then, of course, afterward, we go into discussion, hot seat coaching, Q&A, talking between and amongst ourselves about whatever it is that I've just presented. This particular broadcast was absolutely powerful, and it demystified something for the women in my membership that I think they've been wondering about for a while. And I'm so glad that I got the questions that led me to give this particular lecture, this talk. And while I can share with you the talk, because that's the thing that is, public, I can open that up to you, even though it is something that's normally inside my Rooted Radio broadcast. What I wish I could share with you is what happened afterward. The discussion, the comments, the raw, real, open wounds, and the healing that occurred as a result of what was brought up in this particular broadcast. So as you listen, because I thought to myself, I can't keep this hidden. I can't keep this behind that locked door inside the Rooted membership. I have to let my wider podcast and YouTube community know what's happening, know what's possible. And as you listen to the broadcast itself, I hope that it creates the same kind of questions and inquiry within you that my members shared with me after the broadcast was done. And I truly hope that if you hold those questions, and if you hold the desire to walk the path of the satisfied woman more fully, that you will join me in my Rooted membership. You can find it at thesatisfiedwoman.com. Welcome to the Satisfied Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Alanna Kaivalya. This podcast is dedicated to helping women lean into their femininity and rediscover the power of their feminine gifts. We take a look at what it means to be a modern woman and how we can live a satisfied life on our own terms. Visit the hub at thesatisfiedwoman.com. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and insert essentially the broadcast that I just finished up moments ago. I'm still on a high from it. I'm still buzzing from it. So that you hopefully get the full energy and impact of it, and you understand what we're really doing over at thesatisfiedwoman.com, and that it inspires you to join, because while you can hear the content, while you can hear the ideas, the concepts, the facts, the truths, they don't become real, they don't become concrete, they don't become full transformation without the community and the connection. Okay, this is the community where we talk, where we commune with one another. That's where we turn these concepts into something concrete. That's where we turn ideas into transformation. So if it all sounds good, it all sounds interesting, come join us. And you'll find right at thesatisfiedwoman.com it's right on my homepage, guys. It's right on my homepage. Your ticket right into the Rooted membership, and I would love to see you there. And look, if nothing else, I'm thrilled and honored that you're here on the podcast, and I hope that it plants the right kinds of seeds for you to start your own journey as the satisfied woman. Hello and welcome, everyone. I am so glad and thrilled and honored and excited and privileged and all of the things to be here with you today for our Rooted Radio broadcast that is going to demystify how to embody the feminine and realign your energy from the inside out. For those of you that are new to the membership here with me, my name is Alanna Kaivalya. I've written the book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman, and started this membership as a way to give women like you on the path to satisfaction a place for us to commune, collaborate, and connect so that we can, in real time, actually bring this work into our bodies and into our lives in a very real way. Because sure, while I write about it, talk about it, I have podcast about it, it doesn't become ours and it doesn't become real until we embody it. Embodiment is so powerful and critical for the feminine woman because that is how we largely experience the world. Our feminine superpowers are our intuition and emotional depth, and our ability really to receive what is ours from the world around us, from the people around us, from our intimate relationships. We want to create the kind of empowered, embodied feminine vessel that magnetizes and attracts all that is meant for us in this life. Now, I know that sounds great. Trust me, it sounds great to me too. And this is kind of the crux of how we walk the way of the satisfied woman, which is a woman who is empowered, embodied, sovereign, and satisfied in all areas of her life. And let me quickly define satisfaction for you so that you understand why satisfaction is so utterly desirable for the feminine woman. Satisfaction is defined as the pleasure derived from the fulfillment of our wishes and needs. Now, having our needs met is a human desire. Wishes coming true are what give life meaning. This concept of fulfillment is deeply feminine in that it is holistic and a felt sense of well-being in the world. And of course, pleasure is another feminine superpower. We as feminine women get to run pleasure through our bodies and feel it and experience it. And as we feel and experience pleasure, we radiate it outward, and those around us get to experience it as well. So to walk the way of the satisfied woman, we do need to be truly embodied in our femininity. And I completely understand how difficult this is in practice, living in a world that wasn't built for us and didn't have us in mind when the culture was being developed. Now, that's nobody's fault. There's nobody to blame. It is what it is. Nobody's really doing anything wrong. We've all just been rolling along for thousands of years of agreement that masculine traits and values tend to be more preferred and valued over feminine traits and values. And that manifests itself in a lot of different ways. It can manifest itself in really harmful ways for women, of course, but it can also manifest within us as people who were raised in this culture to believe and expect that being feminine or the qualities of femininity are actually not desirable. When we believe that, what happens is we armor ourselves up with masculine traits and qualities for good reason, to protect ourselves against the world, to shield our vulnerable femininity, and to fit in with our tribe, social groups, and people and things and places around us. All of that makes sense. These are really strong coping mechanisms. They're often also protection mechanisms. But here's what's true about a woman who is feminine in her core, in her soul. If that's your primary polarity, donning this mask of the masculine, while yes, protective, while yes, appearing to be powerful out in the world, actually causes us a lot of problems in the long run. This is one of the biggest sources of burnout. And statistically, 80% of women report experiencing burnout. Now, burnout isn't, of course, a medical diagnosis. It's something that we feel. It's something that we live with. It's something people try to gaslight us out of, that we try to convince ourselves we're not experiencing. Oh, we're just tired, because it was a long day, as opposed to we're exhausted at the level of our soul because those around us continually drain our energy. We continue to give more than we want or are even willing to give. I talk a lot about things like overgiving, burnout, being exhausted, depleted. And I talk a lot about these things because these are the things that women come to me to get help with. In my one-on-one coaching with women, these are the problems that we work on and solve because after a lifetime of essentially being conditioned to doing everything for everyone else at all times and for yourself, never speaking up about your needs, diminishing your own femininity, pretending like you've got this armor on for the world, we are exhausted. That level of self-abandonment, not honoring who we are, inauthenticity is exhausting. It's depleting. Now, there is good news. There is a solution for this. There is a way to come back from that level of inauthenticity, self-abandonment, overgiving, and burnout. Now, it's not a quick fix. I have been asked this. I had a client come through my work and even join the Rooted membership. We had some one-on-one conversation, and she asked me, she said, how do I do this? Do you have a step-by-step process? What's the fix? And I said, well, certainly. I can give you all the theory behind it. I can give you all the content behind it. I can give you steps, tools, techniques, strategy. But it's not a quick fix. All the things that I teach women work, but they only work when we work them, right? This concept is not concrete until we embody it. And here's the thing that's true for all women. We can't do this alone. This is why I have this membership. This is why I do one-on-one coaching. This is why I offer some of this information and work through my podcast and my book. Because for too long, women have been trying to go it alone. We try to champion ourselves through our lives, be the rock that our families congregate around. You know, we're the resource that everyone draws from. We're the well that everyone drinks from. And we've been told we are weak if we dare to ask for help or support. And that is yet another way that our culture keeps women, the feminine, small and sidelined by essentially convincing us that we should be able to do this all by ourselves. We don't need help, that we are endless resources, we are endless and bottomless wells. And we believe it, and then we wonder why we feel isolated, alone, and exhausted. So what's true about the feminine is that we are highly communicative. We are highly connective. We deeply desire connection and community. Throughout history, throughout time, women everywhere have come together in groups to discuss, to communicate, to collaborate through whatever they're experiencing, to come to different solutions, create different ideas, to create a new way of being, but we can't do that if we're not talking. The other truth here is that this work is challenging because it is, boldly countercultural. The culture wants us to believe that femininity is less valuable, that to be a woman means to be weak, submissive, you're only pretty when you smile. That if we speak up, we're suddenly bitchy. That if we speak our needs aloud, we're suddenly pushy. That the moment we have an emotional reaction, we're crazy. And this is powerful, this narrative, because we often believe it too. We haven't been told otherwise or shown a different way. And when we are shown a different way, it's difficult to simply transition into that mode of being immediately without support. So today in this broadcast, here in this membership, I'm going to give you some ideas of how to downshift out of this masculine armor, how to center your own femininity. And there's powerful reasons for you to do that. Number one, it's going to help you to reclaim your energy. Number two, it's going to help you to reclaim your feminine power. Number three, it's going to start to put the world on notice about your authentic self and about how you desire to be cherished and treated. The world doesn't know. If we keep giving ourselves away, the world simply thinks that they can continue to take from us. The world has no idea that we have needs if we keep subjugating them and never talking about them. The world will never know that we want to magnetize, support, abundance, everything that's meant for us in this life if we keep giving ourselves away chasing after success, chasing after connection, chasing after love, chasing after acceptance, if we don't create the space to allow it in to come to us, how can we possibly expect to receive? So there's a major, major dynamic shift that needs to occur from within us as feminine women first, really fundamentally, so that we can reclaim our energy, so that we can be a sovereign feminine woman in order to show the world what it is we need from the world. So there's a multi-layer, many elements, pieces, parts, moving action to this. And when women start to shift, and they can with this work, they do with this work, it causes a shakeup. It causes a shakeup within them. It's scary, right? Our nervous systems for so long have been hardwired to don that masculine armor, to protect ourselves, to put walls up against the world, to gain acceptance by giving ourselves away, to earn love through self-abandonment. And we've adjusted to that as a kind of normal that actually is really dysregulated, draining, and detrimental to our well-being. When we shift into a mode that is more powerful, more sovereign, better for us, that shift can be a shakeup to our own nervous system, and it often prompts a collapse back into our old ways. So in order for us not to do that, we need a community like this. We need a membership just like this, where you and I can come talk about how, this shift prompted a response in a person who had a reaction to it, prompted a response in us. We suddenly don't know what to do with ourselves if we're not doing everything for everybody else. So we've got to talk about it. This is how we make the concepts concrete. This is how we turn the ideas into transformation. It's through connection and building this culture of women right here in this membership, which is why, and I always say this, I'm so deeply grateful that you are here and a part of it, because this is a movement. This is a movement, and it starts with us. So I do definitely talk a lot about how to help those around us adjust to our new way of being. And this is one of the things I do a lot with my coaching clients, my one-on-one coaching clients, because they'll come to me with really specific relationship or career issues. And when we start to turn the tables, we find out who around us is willing to step up and rise up to being their best masculine selves or their best embodied feminine. And we find out who can't. And there can be some grief with that. But right here with you today on this broadcast, I want to talk about how it happens on the inside, right? How it happens on the inside. Because especially if you're a woman who's donned the masculine armor for a long time, it can feel scary, it can feel confusing. We can collapse back into those old narratives of femininity and think suddenly we're going to be weak. We're suddenly going to be taken advantage of. We're suddenly going to be minimized, devalued, and discarded. So let's elevate our own internal feminine first. Let's center our own femininity first. Let's let our inner feminine know that she is safe, that she is worthy, that she is valuable, that she belongs to the world, that she will never be discarded, and that her needs are always worthy of being met. Let's do that with ourselves first. When we treat our own femininity this way, when we center our own femininity this way, again, we put the world on notice that this is who we are, and this is how we desire to be treated. So in talking about femininity and masculinity, I'm talking about energies of the psyche. Energies of the psyche that have been around since the dawn of time, since human beings walked this planet, since we have XX chromosomes and XY chromosomes, since our bodies in their particular configurations manifest themselves in different and distinct ways between the two genders. Every human regardless of genders, regardless of how you identify or what you were assigned at birth, every human has both masculine and feminine psychological energies within them. We can think of them as the oppositional organizing principles of the psyche. So while we definitely have both energies within us, every individual is going to lean more toward one polarity than another. And anytime we try to lean the other way, it's going to feel inauthentic and exhausting. And so for those of us who identify as feminine women, to live in a culture that really centers masculine qualities as the most valuable, donning the mask of the masculine is automatically going to make us more drained, make us more exhausted. So in our own microcosm, right here in our bodies, right here in ourselves, let's get super clear about how we center our own femininity, how we treat ourselves in this vessel, in this container. Because when we make this container sovereign, solid, when we are a boundaried feminine woman, then we are much more likely to receive all that is meant for us in this life, whether it be the right relationship, the right career, the right community. We have to really center ourselves in who we fundamentally are. And if that is leaning toward the feminine, let's do that. So here is a fundamental element of the relationship between masculine and feminine energies. The masculine energy desires to be respected, esteemed, for its decision-making and leadership. Now, the key piece here is that decision-making and leadership isn't in a vacuum. It's not selfish. It's not for its own benefit. The masculine is respected when that decision-making and leadership is always for the highest well-being and good of, yes, the masculine, but also its beloved, cherished feminine. This whole unit, okay? So it's not just about the masculine making decisions for the masculine's sake based on masculine logic, but the masculine always taking into account the needs, the well-being, the benefits, the best interests of the feminine. The feminine desires to be cherished by the masculine, cherished for her intuition and emotional depth. Now, ladies, you know that intuition and emotional depth it's a big thing. It can be wild and stormy and unpredictable, and it often leaves us with a great state of discomfort. We obviously want to rise above discomfort and become comfortable. Everybody wants to be happy. So the key piece here, you'll know you're cherished as a feminine woman, or you'll know that your femininity is cherished when the masculine never leaves the feminine alone in her pain without a solution being reached that feels good to her. Now, that only happens when the masculine cherishes the feminine intuition and emotional depth. Okay? So these are some very, very fundamental relationship dynamics between masculine and feminine psychological energies. The masculine desires to be respected for leadership, guidance, decision-making. The feminine desires to be cherished for her intuition, emotional depth. Honored for her intuition and emotional depth. Centered for her intuition and emotional depth. Think of feminine intuition as the tiller on a sailboat. Now, I'm a sailor. I used to love sailing from Los Angeles, Marina del Rey, over to Catalina Island. I actually did it many times solo, by myself, in my boat. It's 32 nautical miles. At one point, you're over water that is 2,500 feet deep. Sometimes when it's foggy, you actually can't see either land mass. And it's just you as an individual in this boat. Now, the boat is a uniquely feminine vessel. We always call boats she. Even the shape of a boat is feminine. And in order to be a really good sailor, you can't force anything. You use the tiller, you feel the waves, you feel the wind, you can't control it. Ladies, you know as well as I do that your intuition cannot be controlled. Your emotional depth cannot be controlled. And let's just put this out there, neither can you. Neither can you. The feminine is wild. She's unpredictable. Look at Mother Nature. So sailing across the ocean, you have to feel the waves and work with them. You have to feel the wind and work with them. And winds shift. You can have a really great course, and a subtle wind shift will mean you then need to do the work to adjust the direction to keep going. So think of the feminine as the tiller. I always sat in the cockpit with my hand on the tiller, watching the sails, feeling the wind shift, and when you get really in tune, for us, with our emotions and our intuition, you don't even have to look at the sails. You feel the boat move. You feel the weight of the tiller in your hands. You can feel or even hear kind of the flap of the sail as it starts to shift, and then you know action needs to be taken. So that feeling, that reading Mother Nature, that reading of your emotional depth, that feeling, that connection with your intuition, that is how you get through life the best. And I mean the best for you. That's your feminine. The masculine gets active when the wind shifts, and now you need to do the work of pulling in the sails. The masculine hears the feminine's intuition and emotional depth, hears, they are put on notice. The masculine gets the memo. And rather than questioning, right? Because here's the thing, if the masculine part of me, even as I'm solo sailing across the ocean here, and the masculine part of me says, nope, I'm on a good course. I just want to stay this course. I don't want to adjust the sails. I like this direction I'm heading. I'm not going to respond to nature. I'm just going to keep going. Guess what happens? It's an inefficient way of sailing. You're not going to reach your destination. You're going to lose the wind. You're going to stop moving. You're going to start spinning around. It doesn't work. The masculine must respond with action, direction, and leadership to adjust course in response to feminine intuition and emotion. Okay? So you, my dear sister, are now the sailor. And look, here's what's true. I know a lot of things about sailing, okay? And I had a wonderful instructor, and he used to tell me all the time, women make better sailors. Women make better sailors. He said, because in order to really do this well, you have to be in tune with nature. You have to be able to honor and follow your intuition without fail. And it may not make sense, and it may be inconvenient, and you may have to tack more than you like. And sailing is never a straight line to a destination, and we as the feminine are not straight lines either. We are circular. We have cycles. We don't always go forward step by step by step. Sometimes we go sideways, sometimes we go back, sometimes we pause. But all of that, when done in accord with your intuition and emotional depth, actually in the end, not only makes for a more efficient way of going, progress, it makes more harmony in the journey overall. Okay, and we want harmony. We want the boat to just sing across the water, not to fight through choppy waves. Because, yeah, you can make it, but you risk damaging the hull. You risk, damaging your sails, your rigging. You want things to be copacetic and work in the best way possible. So for you internally, what this means is you got to stop centering your internal masculine. The way that happens often for us as modern women who don the mask of the masculine is overthinking, second-guessing ourselves, dismissing our emotions, not tapping into our intuition. We center our own masculine and we diminish our own feminine. And if we want to be treated, cherished, as feminine women, we have to center and cherish our own feminine. So this is going to mean a little bit of an internal shakeup for you. That when you have a sense of intuition, and I do a lot of work, I've got a lot of training right here in my Rooted membership. You can go back through the Rooted Radio broadcast archives. And of course, as a part of the membership, you have access to all my courses as well. So you can go through some of the work in the courses. I teach you how to do this. I teach you how to listen to your intuition. I teach you how to get connected to your sacred no, how to understand the embodied quality of your intuition, how to listen to it. You've got to start doing that. Because when you get connected to your intuition and when you get your intuitive hit, the work then becomes to center that, to cherish that, and to allow your own internal masculine to be in service of that intuition. Not second guessing it, not talking yourself out of it, not overthinking it, not placing control around it. Control is a big way that modern women protect themselves. And I get it. I love self-protection until it's no longer necessary. And my dear sister, it is no longer necessary. It is currently doing you a disservice because that kind of control creates tension, which is energy draining. So when we lead with our intuition, when we have an emotional hit, that becomes the foundational centerpiece for how we then move forward and or course correct. Just like sailing. So things might feel good for a while. The wind might be in your sails for a while. But the moment you feel a shift, you have to course correct. You have to lead with that intuition, that emotional depth, and you have to allow the masculine direction, decision-making, guidance, motion to be in service of that and to change course accordingly. So I think about this, there's a lot of examples of where this is going to be critical, okay? And one of the things that I work a lot with women on are untangling the distortions from their very complicated relationships. Now, the culture likes to call it toxic relationships, or toxic masculinity, or even toxic femininity. I don't like the word toxic because toxic is automatically poisonous and there's really nothing you can do to change it. So I use the word distortion instead because a distortion is just, the light is bending in the wrong way. But if you get clarity, then all you've got is the pure light and it's fine. And there's a lot of, at the basis of a lot of this energy is actually very good intentions. Like, for example, the high, healthy masculine quality of leadership is awesome. But when it's distorted, it becomes power over. Not just leadership, but now do what I say because I've said it, right? So at the heart is this good quality of leadership, but when it becomes distorted, it becomes power over others, and that's when it stops being an awesome quality. So that's really true for most of the qualities we embody. That there at the heart is some good and precious energy, and we need to recover that. When we've donned the mask of the masculine too long, because that has been our self-protection mechanism, because the world has taught us that even our own femininity is dangerous, is less valuable, we often end up with some of these distorted qualities as well. Like this overthinking, like this dismissal of our own emotions, like mitigating them, pretending that they don't exist because we're afraid of being called crazy. That's a real fear. I don't actually know a single woman anywhere. I've never met a woman who at some point in her life hasn't been called crazy by someone who says they love her. It's just so a part of the cultural narrative that even people who love us think it's okay to identify our emotions as just being crazy. I was talking with a good friend of mine the other day who's having challenges in a relationship and suddenly ascribed those challenges to the woman's age and potential for entering menopause. And I said to my friend, buddy, this is going to get you nowhere. Because even if a woman is of an age where she is entering menopause or perimenopause or about to start her period or any of that, it actually doesn't matter because it doesn't discredit her experience. Let me say that again. If our naturally occurring hormonal cycles create ups and downs and fluctuations in our emotional state, that's literally by design. Nature gave that to us for a reason. It gives us a different perspective. It gives us a different insight in things. It does not immediately discredit our experience or our insights. It actually makes us more insightful. We see and understand and feel things that those operating only on logic and reason cannot. Do you understand? Our wisdom as women, our feminine intuition and emotional depth is unmatched and unparalleled. It is wisdom that cannot be gained through maps, through math, through structures, through logic, through reason, and it shouldn't be. It cannot be reasoned out. It's not supposed to be. It doesn't need to be logical. That's not the point of it. But it does need to be listened to, and it does need to be heeded because no human ever has been served by ignoring or dismissing their intuition. And sister, you have got extraordinary access to it. This is an inbuilt function of who you are as a feminine woman to a much greater degree than others who don't identify with the feminine primary polarity. This is ours. And now I think of our intuition as the voices of our feminine ancestors coming through time to speak to us. They went through a lot more than we did. Look, I know that the world is still weird right now. I get it. We're not 100% there. There's still room to grow and space to go. The journey has not yet ended. I get it. We're not there yet. That's why we're doing this work, and that's why we need each other to support us through this work, because it's never been done before. There are things that you are able to do right now today that your mother couldn't. There are choices that you can make in this moment right now that your grandmother never had access to. And if you imagine it's their voice, their desire to have always had this level of agency screaming through you via your intuition, my dear sister, you have a duty to listen. You cannot ignore this. Your privilege and choice and agency right now is too precious. It is too precious and too hard earned. Now, it's not 100%. Like I said, we're not at the finish line, but it is more than you've ever had before. This is why we have to figure it out together. We've got to know what to do with this, and we've got to empower each other and all the women who come after us to center this piece. Because a woman who is fully embodied, a woman who never questions her own intuition or emotional depth, a woman who is so solid in herself, is a sovereign, satisfied woman. She is a woman that holds her own boundaries without fail. She doesn't slide into that sense of feminine guilt where she's terrified of disappointing someone else, and so she will just subjugate her needs or do it anyway, or say yes when she means no. That's not sovereignty. That's compromising yourself. That's self-abandonment. If you don't want others to abandon you, you have to not abandon yourself first. If you want others to cherish you, you have to cherish yourself first. If you want the kind of leadership and guidance that always centers your well-being and your highest good, then you need to lead and guide yourself with your highest well-being and good at the center. This is how you teach others to treat you. This is how you create clear, energetic boundaries around what you will and will not accept. And this isn't to control anyone else, okay? Boundaries are not for anyone else. They're for you. They're for you. And others either honor them or rise up to honor them, adjust to honor them, or they don't. And that's great information. You need to know that. You need to know who will rise up and support you. You need to know when you're fully boundaried who you attract and magnetize and who cannot stay in that sovereign, sacred, satisfied energy with you. The people who love you, truly love you, they will rise. They will support. They will not shame. They will not belittle. They will not devalue. They will not continue to drain, right? Your adjustment, your internal shakeup, once you get through it, and again, usually support and community is necessary, which is why I'm so glad you're here with me in this Rooted membership, will cause a shakeup on the outside, which again is why you super extra need more support to withstand their shock, disappointment, confusion around you suddenly behaving differently. It doesn't mean you should collapse. It actually means you need to stand more strongly in your sovereignty and hold the line. This is how we show the world what the way of the satisfied woman is. This is how we show the world that women's needs are important, that your needs are important. This is how we show the world that when we are sovereign and boundaried and our feminine vessel is full of that life force energy, we can create things that they have never seen before. The power of feminine life force is that we can create something from almost nothing, whether that's an actual human, whether that's a new way of being, whether that's a career or a job or a business no one's thought of. Who knows what we're capable of when we're no longer exhausted, when we stop giving ourselves away, and when we actually get our needs met and our wishes fulfilled. This is my desire for you, for all the women you know, and for all the women who come after us. So, I'm so grateful that you're here, and thank you for being a part of this Rooted Radio broadcast. Of course, now is our time to chat about it, to ask and answer questions. So I'm going to stop the recording element because this is the recording part is what gets, archived. People can watch it over and over. But there is also, of course, a really private element to this where you and I just get to chat. With you right here with your fellow sisters who are live on this broadcast. And so I'm going to turn off the recording. But before I do, if you're watching the replay, I just want to say thank you for being here. I hope that at some point you can join us live so that you can hear the discussion, you can hear the questions, you can get insights into the fact that women are doing this work. It is and can be a struggle, but it's worth the struggle to get through to the other side because that's where satisfaction lies. So come be a part of the conversation on my live broadcasts. And regardless, you know where to find me. I'm right here in the Rooted membership. You can always book a one-on-one discovery call with me to talk about what you've been holding that you don't need to hold anymore. Let's start strategizing about how to get you out of your burnout, your exhaustion, your mental blocks, your dysregulation. I'm here to help. I'm here to support. Because I hope you can feel how deeply important this work is to me. I'm here on this planet at this time, and I know what I've been through as a woman. I can't imagine what the women who have gone before me have been through. I can't imagine what women I haven't met or reached or talked to or whose worlds I haven't been a part of yet are going through right now. We have a precious opportunity. We're at a precious time in history. Let's do this. Let's center our own femininity. Let's be at the helm of our own ships. Let's allow our own masculine to cherish our femininity, and let's show the world what it means to be in feminine leadership and to be a sovereign, satisfied, feminine woman. Thank you so much for being here in the Rooted membership. I honor you. I look forward to working with you further. And until next time. Okay, wow. So as I mentioned, this is where I ended the recording portion of the broadcast. Inside my Rooted membership, all of these broadcasts get recorded and then they get put into the archive. So when you join, you can actually go back and see all of the different broadcasts I've offered over the past many months of this membership. But when I take it off recording, that creates the private space for my members and I to actually chat and share, to offer questions and support, hear what they're going through, the insights of others, teach the women who are listening what is possible, the wins and successes of the women who have gone through it, teach the ones who are struggling how to rise up. We all learn from each other. This level of support and accountability and camaraderie is rare for women. It's rare for women to have a safe space like this, to really bring these issues up and talk about them. This is what we do in the Rooted membership with one another. This is what I do in my one-on-one coaching with women. I am here to help you out of burnout, exhaustion, overgiving, self-abandonment, because no woman deserves that. So let's talk about what you're carrying and about how I can support you in releasing it so that you can receive all that is meant for you in this life. So whether that be you book a one-on-one discovery call to talk to me about where you're at right now, or whether that means you jump right into my Rooted membership, or even just download my free 3-part feminine reset sessions, you can find it all at thesatisfiedwoman.com, and I hope that you'll join me, get the support that you need, because I am absolutely rooting for you to become the satisfied and sovereign woman you deserve to be.